Inferiority complexes are a great tool for building your heroes and your villains, and today I'm going to explain why. What's up, guys? My name is Brandon McNulty. I'm a writer, I'm the author of Bad Parts, and welcome to my writing channel. Today I want to talk about inferiority complexes, and these are something that we all possess. We all feel inferior in some way or another. And when we feel inferior, whether it's because we're too short or too tall, or we suck at math, or we suck at sports, when we feel inferior, we tend to overcompensate. We tend to try and do better in some other area of our lives. For instance, if we do suck at math, we might try harder at sports, or vice versa. Now, when it comes to your characters, it's important to remember that your characters also feel inferior in some way or another. You just have to figure out where and then figure out how they overcompensate. And typically when we talk about inferiority, we're talking about powerlessness. This is the key to it. If you recognize where a character is powerless, you can then figure out another area where they can overcompensate. For instance, in Batman's origin story, he's powerless when his parents are killed in front of him by a criminal. However, he later overcompensates by becoming this vigilante who beats the shit out of criminals and protects the powerless. Now, that's a healthy way to overcompensate, or at least relatively healthy compared to the villains in these Batman stories. Because typically Batman villains, they have an inferiority complex because they are either mentally ill, or they're deformed, or they have some other issue going on in their lives. And these villains, they tend to take things too far. They tend to overcompensate in a way that hurts society. They overcompensate by proving to the world that they can run a criminal empire, or they try to prove to the world that the average person is just as twisted as they are, like the Joker does in The Dark Knight. But when you are drawing up your villains, ask yourself, where do your villains feel inferior, and how can they overcompensate in an extreme way that causes conflict in your stories? That can be a very powerful tool for building a great plot and a great villain. For instance, look at Darth Vader, or more specifically Anakin Skywalker in Episode 2. He feels powerless when he's unable to protect his mother. So what does he do? He overcompensates by slaughtering all the people who mistreated her. Later on in Episode 3, he feels powerless again when he's unable to protect Padme. What does he do? He becomes Darth Vader, and when he becomes Darth Vader, he overcompensates by trying to rule the galaxy. He overcompensates by trying to control everything. Because he was once powerless, he wants to be in total control. That's how he compensates for it, and that's what makes him such an interesting villain. Now, another excellent example of a character with an inferiority complex is Walter White from Breaking Bad. And this is a character who has a lot of things going against him, but one particular episode really sticks out to me. It's one of the early episodes where we really get to see his inferiority complex on full display. And it's when he meets a bunch of his old college buddies, and he learns that they all started this pharmaceutical company, and now they're all rich and living large. And meanwhile, Walter White is struggling along, working two jobs. He's this miserable high school teacher. He also works at a car wash, and he has cancer, and he has a lot of things going against him. And this episode does a great job at highlighting why Walter White feels inferior, and shows us why he overcompensates later on in the series and takes it to an extreme and builds this meth empire. It's all because he missed out on so many things in life, and he feels weak compared to the people he once called equals in college. Now, these are just a few examples of how you can use an inferiority complex to drive your characters and create conflict in your stories. Whether you're using it with a hero like Batman, or a villain like Darth Vader, or a morally gray protagonist like Walter White, this can help you have a lot of success during the writing process. So definitely ask yourself, where do your characters feel inferior, and how do they overcompensate because of it? So I hope this helps. Question of the day: does your current work in progress contain a character with an inferiority complex? And if so, how do they overcompensate for it? Let us know in the comments section below. Thank you guys for watching. If you want to support the channel, pick up a copy of Bad Parts if you haven't already. Also, be sure to check out my other videos, hit the like and subscribe buttons for me, share this video with a friend, and as always, remember to keep on writing.